Hey guys, welcome back to the Lazy Bushman channel. Sorry it's been a while since I've created any content for this channel. Life's just been really busy with Christmas and a bunch of birthdays leading up to that, work and other things. But I'm here now. What I've wanted to do for a little while is create a bit of a series on reloading. Reloading for rifles, most specifically. There's a lot of really good content out there on the internet, but I just wanted to make something that talked about the way that I do it, why I do it the way that I do, for the style of shooting that I do, which is predominantly hunting with a bit of range, bench rest stuff thrown in. I'm not a bench rest shooter. I don't have no bench rest rifles, but I like to go there every now and then and just get some rounds down the barrel, keep my eye in, and all those sorts of things. Neither did I want to create, though, one really big video. I don't like really long videos myself. I like to try and break them up and make them as concise as possible, and address particular topics and issues. In this particular video, a little bit later, I'm going to address, just by way of introduction, the pros and cons of getting into reloading and why. But for now, look, what I want to do is sort of demystify a little bit reloading. At the end of the day, reloading is about assembling 4 components that are necessary for a live round, being the case, the primer, the powder, and the projectile. Those 4 things, and doing it in a way that is safe and functional in your firearm. I'm not going to be handing out recipes and those things. I'll give you some advice around where to look and how to approach that, but what you've got to remember is that every rifle is different, every shooter is different, and what works in my 270 Winchester may not work all that well in your 270 Winchester and 270 Winchester and vice versa. Now, before you rush off and jump into reloading, there's probably 2 key questions you need to ask yourself. One is, what sort of shooter are you? So, are you a bench rest shooter? Are you a hunter? Are you a plinker? Are you a bit of everything? Because the answer to that that question is really going to drive the types of components you're going to purchase, the equipment that you're going to buy. Certainly, my stuff is not at that super high bench rest grade level of equipment. It's good gear, but if you went to the top bench rest guys, you'll see very different gear to what you sort of see behind me a little bit. Functionally still the same, but probably a little bit more precise. The other thing is, why do you want to reload? Is it to save money? Is it to create more accurate ammunition? Is it just for fun, to give yourself something to do? Me personally, I got into reloading because at the time I was living in New Zealand. This goes back over 10 years ago now, and we were living in Wellington, and the weather's rubbish a lot of the time. Great people, great hunting opportunities, but I was looking for something to do on those days where I just couldn't get out of the house, and I was trapped inside, and it's minus 1 degree, and it's blowing 100 km/h, and rain's coming down sideways. So a guy who was working for me, his mate was the importer of Hornady. Now, I'm not promoting Hornady. I'm not saying that they're the best. Hornady do make good gear, but so does RCBS, so does Reading, so does a bunch of other manufacturers as well. I've got a lot of my gear is Hornady, simply because the guy who worked for me, he could get it for me cheap through his mate who was the importer for New Zealand. Certainly, I don't know if he still is, but certainly was at the time. So that's why I've got the gear that I've got. I'm not promoting them. I'm not saying they're better or worse than anything else. It's just what I have. Really, the answers to those 2 questions are really going to drive your approach and how you'll reload. Whether you'll have a ton of different gear, or you'll go extremely simplistic. The first lot of reloading I ever did was with a mates 30-30, and we were teenagers, and we used the Lee hand loading kit. You know, you spooned one spoon was of powder was put into the case. It wasn't measured. It was weighed, I should say. It was measured via the little spoon that it came with, and had a little hand crimping tool for the projectile and other things. And we shot stuff quite successfully with that. So I guess, you know, without further ado, reloading, like I suppose everything else in life, it has pros and cons associated with it. For me, I see the pros as one, it's an interesting hobby. I enjoy it. It puts my head in a whole other space, gets it out of work, and I just like the time that I get to spend at the reloading bench and tinker around. It can save you. Another pro is that it can save you money depending on how much you shoot. The more you shoot and the more different calibers you shoot, the more you absolutely can save some money. You can create more accurate ammunition than what you can get out of a packet. And there's some enjoyment in that, you know. It goes back to the first point about being able to tinker. You can tinker away and create something that's yours, that you've made, and performs better than what you can buy. And you know, it also helps to improve your overall knowledge of the sport of shooting. Understanding exactly how all the different components interact and react with each other to provide you with the outcome that you're looking for. As a con, now I talked about how it can save you a lot of money. One of the cons is that it can also be very expensive. If you're a person who doesn't shoot a lot, then reloading can be very expensive. I'll put up a little chart attached to this video where I've actually done some analysis with reloading versus buying factory ammunition. And from memory, I think you've got to reload in the order of 4,500 rounds before reloading starts to make economical sense. Now let me just qualify that, and you'll see it on the graphic that I'll post with this video. I did that analysis based on 7mm 08, and it's buying the ammunition in bulk, in lots of 200 rounds. You know, obviously, if you only buy a pack at a time, it's, you know, the cost per round is higher, and you know, different rounds use, you know, the brasses, different prices for different calibers, different amounts of powder, and so forth and so forth. But it at least gives you an idea. You know, 4,500 rounds of 7mm 08. If that's all I was reloading for, that's a lot of 7mm 08 for a hunter to go through. They probably wouldn't buy that amount of factory ammunition in a decade, I'd probably suggest. The other thing is that it's very expensive to start. I think it would be very difficult to buy reasonable quality equipment, you know, such as Hornady or, you know, Lyman and RCBS and that sort of thing, and a number of the, you know, need to plus a couple of nice to have components for less than about $900. You know, by the time you buy your dies and so forth, you've got to budget that sort of money. You can certainly go cheaper. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there are some cheaper brands out there, and people have, you know, made, you know, thousands of rounds of ammunition with that gear. For me, I live by the philosophy of poor man pays twice. Buy as good a gear as you can, no matter what it is in life, whether it's reloading, whether it's tools, whether it's sporting equipment, whatever it is. Buy the best quality that you can afford. Doesn't mean necessarily buying the most expensive. Always look and shop around and get the best price. But look, it is expensive. For $900 you can buy yourself a pretty nice rifle. Another con is that it's actually, it can be quite confusing and daunting, particularly when you start off. You think about all the various devices that you need for reloading and the myriad of choices there, and that's multiplied once you start looking at components such as, you know, different types of brass that are out there, the massive range of powders and projectiles and primers, and then you've got all the various combinations. It can become extremely daunting and very confusing for a lot of people. And the last one, I put this in as a con. It's very time consuming. You know, you spend a lot of time at your bench working up loads, preparing your brass and putting together all your components. And that's time that, you know, you're away from your family and your friends, and tucking yourself away and methodically working through and building up your loads. Then you've got to go out there. There's no point just, you know, creating loads for the sake of creating them. You've actually got to go out there and shoot them and test them and work out what works better for you and your rifle and the way that you shoot, and be observant of the conditions on the day, and a whole range of different factors. So it's very time consuming hobby as well. So guys, that's fundamentally what I wanted to cover off in this first video. Subsequent videos, I'm going to have a look at, you know, to where to start and how to know where to start. What's sort of the minimum that I think, the minimum sort of equipment that you want to be buying, and what are some of the nice to haves when you get into reloading. Then I also want to do one around how do you actually use the stuff and use the stuff safely. Okay, nobody wants to go hurting themselves or blowing themselves up, either making ammunition or using it. So how do we do this safely? I probably won't do a video on the end-to-end reloading process in itself. Those component ones that I just mentioned, that could be multiple videos, because I can't remember if I mentioned already that I want to try and keep these down, you know, 5 to 10 minutes in length if I can. This one's sort of gone over a little bit, and I do apologise, but I want to try and keep these fairly short and succinct for people, so that they, you know, aren't wasting a lot of time on YouTube. At least hopefully it's not as much time as I seem to waste on YouTube. But through that process, as you see me use and demonstrate the various components, you know, you'll see how the assembly of the ammunition comes together. So I'm not likely to do a go-to-woe on how to build a round, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. So look, God bless, take care, safe shooting, and look, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bring your tide and bring your shame. Bring your guilt and bring your pain. Don't you know that's not your name?